Friday night racing at Woodbine Mohawk Park. My name is Randy Waples. I'm going to be your host tonight. We're kind of trying a different kind of a format in the last week or so. I think the first time that we tried it, I worked with Jeff Brad, and he said, anybody out there wants to, send us some thoughts on the new way that we're kind of doing the show, feel free. It's all new to me. But we would like to hear what your thoughts are out there. If you guys like it or if you'd like to go back to the old way. I kind of like this way myself. It seems like it's more of a conversation as opposed to just me being a windbag. So, this is the way that it's going to go on tonight. We got some great racing on store for you tonight. We've got a Fillies and Mares Open, a couple of pop-ups going on, all leading up to tomorrow night, our Saturday night, which is going to be some big racing as well. We got some Canadian graduate finals for the 4-year-olds going on Saturday night. We got a preferred pace going on Saturday night. And as Chad told you in a few minutes, the Oaks, the Kentucky Oaks will be going at Churchill Downs. And tomorrow is Kentucky Day, Kentucky Derby Day, one of my more favorite days in racing. But before we get too far off of track, because Randy has a tendency to do that sometimes, we are going to introduce the second member of our crew tonight. And that is going to be Mr. Jeff Hunt. Jeffrey Hunt. Wow. I mean, the last time, well, other than seeing you last night there was a time that I seen you there. You were about knee-high to a grasshopper, I think. We were out at Woodbine during Breeders' Crown Night or something. Yep. But anyway, we got a lot to talk to you about, Jeff Hunt.
Well, thank you. Thank you for having me. I'm excited to be here.
Well, we really appreciate that. Okay, so let's start this things off. Number one, I just want to say congratulations on the way that everything's been going for you. You've kind of recently started this as your career, if this is the way that you're planning on going. You had one career in mind earlier on. You've kind of transitioned into this, both in sports. But is this the way that you're going to kind of plan on going? This the prodigy of Patrick Hunt is going to continue along in the Hunt Fine transition or tradition of racing?
Absolutely. Right now, myself makes the third generation of horsemen. My father's father before him was in it too. Hey, it's a tough way to make your money, while everybody else is partying on the weekends. You're up and at the barn, but we're gonna ride it out for sure. We love the sport, and I don't know if it's as good as hitting a home run, but winning a race is a pretty good feeling. So,
well, tell me on that. You've done both, so tell me, what is the difference between the two? There's a lot of satisfaction in both of them. A lot of hard work getting to that point. So. Tell me, what is it like?
Well, the cool thing about hitting a home run is that you get about 16 seconds to yourself, and if you hit it far enough, you get a couple seconds to celebrate and let everybody know how cool you are, right?
Well, that's cool.
And like you said, there have been drivers in the past who celebrated a little bit, and it wasn't celebrated as much as it is in other sports, right? So. The nice thing about hitting a home run is you get to celebrate it. Horse racing, you don't really want to be that guy so much. So I would still take hitting a home run in the big leagues over winning a race, but I haven't won a race big enough to supplant hitting one single home run yet. So maybe that answer will change.
Yeah, for sure. Okay, here's one I wanted to ask you there. So you're a Canadian kid. All right, growing up like most kids in Canada, was there hockey? Were you a hockey guy?
I was also a hockey guy. I mean, I played all the major sports. I played soccer and baseball. When I was young, I had to give up soccer for baseball, and then I played hockey. And you know what? In my OHL draft year, the coach of that team was a lot of people will know around here, Brad Maxwell, whose son was on the team and also an exceptional hockey player. Brandon, right? Yeah, an exceptional goalie. And honestly, just the schedules, they were too serious on both ends at that age. And I was better at baseball. I chose baseball. And that's the way I went. And like you said, 2001, Breeders' Crown year, 10 years old, I was running around the track. But, that part of my life, I was more focused on sports for sure. And, maybe Pat and Yvonne were kind of kicking me over that way, saying, look this way and not towards the track. But yeah, for the first part of my life, I was focused on sports.
So you obviously, here was Liberty Balance. There he is.
There we go.
Yeah, doing the big thing in front there, and then I think your dad runs out onto the thoroughbred track and pretends he's got some harness racing belt around his waist.
Yeah.
I'm pretty sure
my
that was
father.
your dad.
Yeah, that's my father for sure. Yeah.
Well, it was somebody.
It was somebody. Yeah, I'm sure they'll bring it up here, won't they?
No doubt about it. Wow, this was my first Breeders' Crown.
I know, that's why you went so crazy.
I was so excited on this. Hometown horse, hometown track, and
there it is.
there's Pat wearing Randy's uniform out there.
Are
you know.
you not entertained?
You and I are taking this a lot better than the first people that I talked to the next day after this happened
exactly,
anyway.
yeah.
Hey, okay, so another thing, back to the baseball. I got to ask you this, okay?
to
Because
baseball. You don't wanna
I've
talk
never,
about that anymore?
not quite. I wanted more talking about you. So back to the baseball. Now, here's the thing. So at one point, you were drafted by the Dodgers.
Yes.
Okay,
Yes.
so that is something that a lot of Canadians and kids, whether they're into sports or not, including me, I would have no clue on how the feelings that go through somebody that has just been drafted into a major league sport. How did that make you feel?
Yeah, it's surreal. It's not really a feeling you can explain to someone. I mean, I remember that day I was still in class in school. I was in the last period in high school, and one of my buddies messaged me and said, hey, 15th round to the Dodgers, and that's how I found out. And it's a pretty cool feeling, and it was the same all through my minor league career. But when you get to put that logo on, there's a different feeling about it. You know what I mean? You feel special. And it really is not something that you can share with someone. And I mean, the Dodgers is just an A1 organization. They have been, since Major League Baseball started, right? And they've, since I left, they got a new ownership group and they've just taken off. I mean, that organization taught me, a lot about how to succeed and how to compete, how to be at the highest level and what it takes to get there. And they run things really clean. It's professional. You show up to the ballpark, looking proper, ready to go. You leave your problems at home and you focus on baseball, right? So I can't say enough about that organization, and unfortunately I can't share it with anyone. If they were to call me today and ask me to come back and play, I would, but that's just not in the cards.
So, okay, so what was it that they attracted, the LA Dodgers to Jeff Hunt?
Yeah.
I mean, what was it, your playing style, your feet, what position did you play?
Through high school, I would have been a third baseman, a first baseman, a third baseman. I was a big left-handed bat. I could hit the baseball really far, just not often enough to keep a job. That's all. But yeah, I was a tall, well-built left-handed stick. I threw well. I was pretty athletic. But that's the thing about baseball. We were talking about it. They have 6 levels of the minor league system, right? So drafting a baseball player is a little bit different than drafting a hockey player, right? They're looking at you, years and years down the road. So you can look at a Canadian kid and say, oh, this guy didn't get to play so much in the winter as much as the kid from Florida and Texas and California. So if we give him a couple years of development, maybe with some extra experience, maybe, he'll turn into, at that point, it was something like Matt Stairs, the other Canadian guy who was out there, Larry Walker. There were a lot of big left-handed bats coming out of Canada at the time. So that's all it was, a lot of potential, a lot of potential.
It was a great time in your life.
Oh, fantastic.
Cool.
Yeah.
Now you're transitioning into the second career, which is going to be racing.
Yeah, second or third. Like I said, I even, after I was released, I came back and pretty much immediately went to university over at Laurier. So, I'd almost call that my second career. I spent 6 years there. I was only part-time, so I spent too long there, don't get me wrong. But, I completed a full bachelor's degree, that was that's another accomplishment that I just you put under the belt, and it's more about just sticking to it. You start it and you see it through. That's all it was. So this, I might even argue this might be my third career, which maybe in today's day and age, lots of people switch careers, but who knows? Maybe this one will stick for sure.
Well, last night there, you seemed to be doing a pretty good job here, and this was with Job Hunter.
Yeah, it was good. I forgot to put my
your
mud
visor
mask down, but we went to the front. We didn't
you
need
went
it
to the
anyways.
front. Okay, so like last night now, tell me something. You obviously, with driving, and I'm just talking from my point, it seemed like every drive taught me something new. It was always a learning experience being out there, because I always tried to learn, from the guys like that really did a lot for me, like the Doug Browns and the Steve Condrens, the Bill Gales, the Dave, all of those kinds of guys that I drove against. I always tried to watch what they did and then try to pick up little things. Is that kind of where you're at now? Like you kind of watch a lot? Because last night it wasn't that you raced Job Hunter in front. You raced her in front in a kind of a different sort of a style. I've seen you race her in front before, but you kind of rated her. Last night, you were kind of like letting her do her own kind of thing. Is that about a fair statement?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, like we said, we had that conversation there. I put her on the front 3 weeks ago now, right? And I thought I got my own way, the middle half, and I thought she should have been strong. She's a pretty strong mare on the front, and then I got beat for fifth or something. And at that point, we had a conversation, and you were telling me, Huntsville's like a target a little bit better. So we gave her a target for 2 weeks. Turned out really well. And again, last night, she's pretty grabby. She's kind of hot. There's really no taking back.
Right.
And as I get out there and I'm leaving, I'm thinking of you the whole way, like, oh, this isn't the plan me and Randy put together. But I've made a lot of mistakes in baseball, and
Right.
if you wanna go from one level to the next in baseball, you have to be able to make adjustments. And I find a lot of that the same training horses. And so anyways, I cleared to the front there last night, and I thought, well, I grabbed into her last time too much. We had the whip over her tail, and you said just trying to keep her interested, because I think the messaging was off with my hands, trying to slow her down. And last night I thought, well, we'll just keep her rolling, and we'll try not to upset her at all. And yeah, it worked out really well.
Yeah, it did. Absolutely. Worked out fantastically well. And you're going to come back in race 12 tonight and try to do the same thing?
We're going to try.
If we're going to try to look for some jackpot high five numbers with the carryover up past 89,000, who should we be putting on top in race number 12?
In race number 12?
Yeah.
Well, I don't like to put anything on camera, but we'll let the bettors decide.
There you go. Okay, well, let's get into racing. Speaking of bettors, let's get into the racing, because that's why we're here. I could sit here and talk to you all night, but let's get into the replays. So let's start off in race number 1, Jeff, and we're going to try to get a few of these replays into the screen here, so you get a look at them. Now, right now, our opening favorite, the way you'd want to look at it, is the 6-horse taking the majority of the morning line go, I guess you would call it. Even money on this Look at Me Go Amigo. Now, he raced a few times last year for Determination, 10 starts actually to the tune of 114,000. Couple of starts back. I'm going to throw him in for 4th. Where I am going to go is a horse that Benoit Bergeron has recently picked up called the 4-horse LMC Wagon Wheel. Now, we have 2 replays to show in here. Now, is this the Wagon Wheel, producer Luke? Okay, so this is LMC Wagon Wheel, Jeff. 3-year-old colt, recently gone into Benoit Bergeron's barn. He had him last year in September for a gold. He made a break there. But before that, he was in Pat Hood on stable. Now, he's had 2 qualifiers and this start back from the 10-hole. What I consider to be a real sort of, I would say, improvement on this guy. Tyler Borth driving him in the middle of the gate right now. Kind of a big, long-legged fellow in there. What's your thoughts on him trotting for home here?
Yeah, I think he looks good, and honestly, I've had a few really good conversations with Mr. Bergeron lately. You have to respect his ability to get these horses ready. It looks like his horse here should be a little tighter each week. And honestly, for me, anytime you have a horse who can leave from the outside and still remain, with the field at the wire. Pretty well shows me that horse can probably go up in class. So again, if I'm not sure I'm the best to handicap these races, but I like what I see out of that one for sure.
Okay, now I'm going to show you another one in the same race. Now this is a horse called Cover Band, and the reason I'm kind of I know that you're on to things, but last year you were in Minnesota for the great part of the summer. You had a great meet in Minnesota, by the way. But this is a horse, Cover Band. This was a 2-year-old. You're going to see him in this race. This is last year, the first leg of the Millard Farms. This is a propulsion colt. Now, you're going to see Scotty Young drive. I mean, this one really impresses me. Now, I threw him in for 2nd, Jeff, not because I think that the other horse is better. I think this is the best horse in the race. I just don't know how hard they're going to want to go on him first start back. But watch the wheels that this guy throws up. And like I said, this is a 2-year-old here. He comes back in the final of the Millard Farms, and he ends up being scratch sick. But you can see him here, nice kind of moving colt there. And there's been times last year, Jeff, he showed, this race here, he showed a last quarter 26-3 for a 2-year-old trotting colt. So obviously some big wheels there as well. What do you think of my 2 picks in here?
Yeah, honestly, I like the look of that one a little bit better. I like the gait. It seems a little bit slicker on that guy. You can sort of tell Youngie was keeping him on a helmet as long as possible there, being probably coming back and not as tight as possible. Yeah, what will the strategy be tonight? I'm not sure, but I think, anytime a 2-year-old trotter can get home in 26 seconds, I'd be pretty fearful of them. Yeah, I'd be pretty fearful of them. So I don't think you'd be wrong to put Cover Band on top at all. If you want to keep him in for 2nd, that could be wise as well.
I'm doing it for the simple fact that I think he's going to be the one taking all the support. And if I can beat him for a price, that's what I'm looking to do. And with Cover Band, the big thing, I'm putting a mark on him that I say that if he makes it that far, we could be looking at a Hamiltonian.
Yeah,
winner.
exactly. This doesn't seem like the night that really cover band maybe is most concerned with winning the race.
Right,
you know what I mean?
I just think that they obviously they want to win, but you don't want to absolutely ruin your year the first start either.
Right.
You've been in that situation bringing horses back. Sometimes they come back and they're ready to go. Other times they come back and they need a start or two.
Exactly.
Just the way it is.
Exactly.
Cool.
And
right on. Okay, let's move on to race number 2. And in this race here, fillies and mares preferred, Jeff.
A big one.
Right now it seems like, the 3-horse Century Jamila, who I got in for second, the 4-horse Blue Pacific, who I got in for fourth, Lions Better Day, who I have in for third. Now, I didn't use odds on Platinum in here tonight, coming back with the 2 qualifiers, shipping up from Florida. I'm sure that Doc Moore will have words for me at some point for not putting his in there. We both know what kind of, Moore, he's not shy, not a shy man if he wants to say something. I'm going to go Tells on a Roll. Now, this one coming back after a long layoff as well, but the big reason why I'm going to go with her is that in my opinion, she's always competed against and beat better horses than what she's in against now. She's always competed in the summertime when our fillies and mares is at its absolute best, whether it's the Sylvia Hanovers and all the rest of them. She's always competed against the very, very top of the line. $273,000 last year, 10 for 26 in the win candidate. So this is the way that I'm going to go. I'm going to show you this qualifier, Jeff. She's sitting right in the 2-hole now. Big, strong, Tell It Like It Is mare that came in from Hoosier. Cullen's had her for a few years now. But tell me what you think about this one here.
Yes.
Now that's Nijinsky in the 3-hole.
Yeah, that's a nice set of
Tells
3
on a
horses
Roll
there.
in the 2-hole, and up on top, this was PL Aussie.
Yeah.
Pretty nice horse himself.
If I'm honest, I didn't watch the qualifier live, but I think anytime you see a mare pop out and go around, PL Aussie, you got to be pretty impressed. 52 in the morning, back half in 55. You got to assume she's ready to go.
She's got the beautiful ability to leave and get herself to exactly where she wants to be, or race from off the pace too.
Yeah,
so a lot of different ways to race this one.
Right, which you can do in a 6-horse field too, I assume.
What about you? Like with the hunt stable going on, any big kind of champions coming your way, or horses that you really kind of got an eye on?
No,
I know you kind of got more dabble in the not the $210,000 yearlings.
Exactly.
Obviously.
Yeah. Pat and I shop for bargains for
Right.
sure. Do you know what I mean? But because of that, no. And I try not to play the emotional roller coaster game. I'll never tell you that I have a champion before they are a champion. I certainly like all of the horses in my barn at the moment, but they may just end up being race horses in the end. But we do have two-year-olds this year that we're training down. If like I said, I'm not going to tell you they're a champion, but here's to hoping.
Good.
Here's to hoping. Other than that, just some race horses.
Good, cool. Yeah. Keep your guy busy.
Yeah, we're busy enough. Just hopefully one of them is a champion.
Okay, so let's move on to race number 3, and this is going to be my all-in for the night. Now, we're going to show you a replay on a horse in here for Roger Mayotte, the 2-horse. It's going to be my top pick in here. This guy really, at the end of his year, you can see in the super final, he ended up finishing second in there. He's getting what I would consider to be stronger, as he gets older as well. But his first qualifier, I thought, was a good one. First start. Now, this is a maiden. He is going to take a small step up into the non-winners of 2. But every once in a while, I will put a horse that's coming from a maiden into that top spot in going up a class, because I think the form's coming with them. So right now, I think that Get the Green has got some unbelievably good form going with him right now. So let's take a look at this replay, Jeff. Now, my brother's horse is in here, as a matter of fact. I got him in for third from the outside, but give me your thoughts on Get the Green. Now, this is only his 8th lifetime start.
So this is last week?
This is last week on him. Yeah, last year as a 2-year-old, he made $100,000, 7 starts, 3 times he was second, and second in the super final. But this is his debut as a 3-year-old.
Just chirped at by McDonald, and he responds.
Now, is that a horse that's kind of more or less doing this on his own, Jeff?
Yeah. I mean, James is just sitting there. That's why. I'm looking at the last quarter here, wondering if he has even a little bit more in there. Would be nice to see.
28-1.
Looks fantastic.
Yeah. And just a kind of a like he looks good right now too, right?
Yeah. Trotting well.
Like he's in shape.
Absolutely.
Sometimes they come back, they need a couple of starts. Yep. They got the pot belly going and that. This guy seems like he's ready to rock it.
Absolutely.
Cool.
Roger knows how to get him ready.
Oh, yes. Yes, he does for sure. Okay, so race 3, that's going to be my all-in. I also like the 4, the 10, and the 3 in here as well. So let's move on to race number 4. No, this one's a little bit different for me as well, Jeff. This recently coming over from Australia, the 4-horse, Artie's Money. Really, really impressed with the first start. First start Lasix as well, coming from the 3 qualifiers. Paul Thomas Court Stable. Jody Jamieson picking up the drive on this one. Dougie McNair drove this one last start. Interesting kind of a race for Dougie, you know what I mean? You don't often see Dougie get a horse from the rail and end up getting away 10th. It's not usually the way that he does it, but boy, oh boy, this one, did she ever explode on the end of it. Back half in 53 and 4 last quarter and 26 flat. First start on Lasix for this girl, and anybody that knows me or watches this show knows that I'm a second start Lasix kind of guy. So I think that we could be seeing even a stronger, better horse in here tonight. Spoiled Beauty, you know, I got her in for second. I think that, you know, with the breeding and what she has capable of doing, I think that, you know, we got to take some looks at her. Foxy Seaside in for third, and Lady Cafe Olay, I got her in for fourth. But let's take a replay of this 4-horse, Jeff, and she was my horse to watch. Actually, I think in this start as well that night. So I would look at her as had her classified as huge on end. Let me know what you think. So Dougie McNair driving this one, and you can see where he is. Kind of a big solid filly too, you know. And you know it too, like when you come 3 and 4 wide at this track around this turn,
That's a long
it's
ways.
hard.
Yeah, maybe the rail wasn't a great place for a filly with a big gate like that. Maybe it takes her a while to get going, yeah. Where's she leaving from tonight?
That's little crooked.
That's 26, eh?
Yeah,
26 and a little
crooked.
crooked. Just a big long stride getting
Yeah.
there, yeah.
And on the run out, when we show this run out, she gets right up alongside of these ones too. Like she just keeps coming. You can see like she's even by them at that point, out 4 and 5 wide again as well. So, you know, a little bit of steering problems, but the ability's there.
The ability's there, like you said. She may not look like the handiest horse out there. So, you know, whether the trip has to work out perfect for her or whatnot, it's hard to say. But certainly the talent's there. You know, I'd like to see a couple more starts on it. That's all I've seen of her to give you a real good opinion. But certainly it's there.
Cool. All right. So let's move on to race number 7, Jeff. We're going to fly over to 7, skip a couple, and this is 5-year-olds and younger, and a maiden. Maiden on the pace. And, you know, a couple of horses in here, but let's concentrate mostly on the 4-horse in here, Jeff. This is Hello Darkness. You know, Tony Beaton coming out of the Tony Beaton stable. James has 2 shots with this guy. Let's take a look at the last one. Now, the first time that he raced, he finished 3rd in there. I didn't put him up on top. His next start, the start that we're going to see here, I ended up going with Hazardous, and but I really was impressed with this guy. Now Hazardous did end up winning, but this guy also coming up with a real nice effort. James McDonald in the bike, yeah, for Tony Beaton on this guy. Big shadow play on this fella here. So again, a horse that, you know, in my opinion, you know, coming back first start, I thought it was a good one.
Absolutely. He's got a nice gait. He's moving well. Yeah.
Now right here, he starts to fade, but then he starts to ask him again, and he starts to shoot forward again there. So I don't think he was, I wouldn't classify it as all done at the end.
No, not all done. Not all done. Yeah, maybe not the most impressive finish I've ever seen for sure.
Right.
Again, like I said, I don't know, you know, these horses much more than some of these replays to really tell you. But
He looked okay to you.
He looks okay.
Cool.
Looks okay.
All right. So that's race number 7. And we're going to move on to race number 9. And here we got 5-year-olds and younger on the trot, non-winners of 2 in there. I'm going to go HP Run Director. You were talking Benoit Bergeron, also a big fan of Benoit Bergeron. One time he told me, well, I've had a lot of old horsemen tell me this long time or whatever, and I've always been a big believer in it, and I'm pretty sure your dad used to throw this at me too, and, you know, not the thing, your dad's one of the best horsemen I've ever been around in my life. Benoit's big thing was no foot, no horse.
Yep.
You a believer in that?
Yeah, absolutely. I'm not sure that Pat Hunt has ever, you know, screamed those words at me, but it's certainly important. You know, I guess, you know, Pat's concerned with feet as they're shoeing. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
As much as he is. And like I said, as they get older, it's harder to get down on the ground so much. You know what I mean? So maybe it might be more taking care of the feet than anything. But no, it's more about shoeing in our barn than anything, I'd say.
Cool. Okay, well, let's take a look at this replay. Big fan of Benoit. Now, this guy here, this is going to be second start back. He had the first start back, good one, 55-3. Last quarter in 28-1. Didn't have any answers for Exquisite Taste, Wild Turkey Hanover, or Chicago Hall, but doesn't have to face any of those ones tonight. But he does have to face a pretty tough horse from the 8-hole, Artful Dodger. But first start back on this guy. Makes good grounds on the end of it there for Scotty Young. And Tyler Borth going to be picking up the drive on this one tonight. Kind of a big, good-looking horse at the back there, Jeff. Again, a horse, got a bit of size to him. Maybe he might need a start or two. But the gait seems to be there. When Scotty asks him, he moves forward each time.
Yeah, he's still going. What was the last quarter in this place?
In this one here, he come last quarter in 28-1, mile and 55-2.
Yeah.
So, and he's got a lifetime mark of 58-4. So, 3 seconds better than his lifetime mark. And look again with the on the run out. I always like these run outs because to me the ones that are going forward after the wire is over usually means that they still got some go. Kind of like your your mare last night. She was still moving forward on the run out.
Yeah.
Liked it.
When they're not cheating, they don't know where the wire is.
No doubt. Okay, so let's move on to race number 10 here. And we got fillies and mares non-winners of 16-5. This was a really tough race for me, this one. There's so many different ways to go in this race. Let's start from the rail. She's got it all. If Ricky has her on her game, she's almost unbeatable in here. Like, she's that good. I got her in for third. Western Wish racing fantastic right now. Didn't even use her. Grit and Grace, kind of a new one to this kind of level. And I have her in for fourth, but boy, oh boy, is she ever racing amazingly well right now for Mike Nowitzki. You can make a case for them all. The two horses on the outside, though, Glenborough and Setting a Precedent, to me, both were locked-in efforts in their last race. Now, Dougie was locked in with Setting a Precedent. He's coming back to that one. Travis locked in with Glenborough. Obviously, him coming back to that one as well. But let's take a look at this race because, Jeff, this is the same race that we're going to look. So you tell me, we got Glenborough in the 7-hole, Dougie McNair with Setting a Precedent. Now, Glenborough, I'm going to put up on top. McNair's charge, I'm going to throw her in for second. Not really sure which one, but to me, I think that they both had good wheels on the end of it. Now, Dougie's horse looks like she's got a little bit more, but sometimes I think that with Glenborough there, she always seems to be better at a higher level than sometimes Setting a Precedent. What's your thoughts on these ones?
Yeah, I can speak to these ones a little more. I have, Premier Delight race against some of these ones.
Right.
Grit and Grace just took down Sunshine Magic pretty handily there a couple weeks ago. Shout out to my man Stretch. I like Grit and Grace a lot, just having raced against her. But, Travis and Glenborough have been a thorn in my side for, they were there for a long time, a lot of his horses. And like I said, he's always there with her and she's always ready to go. I like her a lot and I typically do.
Well, so for Glenborough?
Yeah. Sorry, I just racing against her. Do you know what I mean? She's tough, and Travis is always ready.
And she's another one that can get herself into a good spot, good
Absolutely.
gate speed. Coming from the 7-hole. What's quickly before we move on, a couple of the other ones there. Do you find any subtleties with this track? Like, are you a believer that the 6 is a better spot than say the rail or the 10?
Yeah,
maybe?
Easily. And
why would that be?
Well, I guess this would be the first winter I've actually gotten to drive here. But whatever it is, the gate just carries you out there. But you don't realize I took back a couple times my first couple drives here. Leaving 6, 7, even 8. Don't get me wrong. And you kind of feel like you had the first step, right? And then you kind of gave it up, and now you're 30 seconds to the first quarter, right? To get to the back of the field. So no, honestly, I would much prefer to get out there. The gate gets you going, and yeah, you want to be at top speed, right? If you're gonna be out there.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah.
Now, do you find sometimes with the inside wing, it pushes back a little bit too much to get that good run at it?
Yeah, and again, I've been here so much. Right around the turn, and especially if you don't have one, you can time it and you get there a little too early, and it pushes them back a little bit. It makes it a little tough. I find sometimes distractions on the inside of the track can get to them a little bit. Not so much here at Mohawk, but certainly on the smaller tracks. And yeah, you just can't seem to get them out there. And then all of a sudden, even when you seem to clear the 2 or the 3 horse, you look out, and then all of a sudden 4, 5, 6, 7, they're all out there, and you're really not away as well as you thought you were. So you definitely want to be middle and a little bit to the outside of the gate here for sure.
I always like the middle because you could see what's happening to the inside and to the outside.
Yeah.
They weren't going to surprise you.
No.
Sometimes when you got the inside, you don't see what's happening. Like you said, you can't track them coming out.
No,
of there.
you can't, right?
Yeah.
And
Okay, so let's move on to race number 12. And I got one question for you. I want you to remind me of there when we talk about, because you were driving a nice trotting colt last summer. So make sure you bring that up.
Yes.
I don't want to leave without talking about him. So race number 12. Jackpot high five night, $89,000 in the carryover coming into this race. My numbers are going to be 4, 7, 2, 8, and 3 in here. Wicked Pace. Coming from the Paul Cameron stable. Interesting to see how she's going to come back this year. I put her right up on top. I mean, she was so good. They did such an amazing job with her last year. And I mean, she did have a nemesis in her side as well. You talked about Glenborough being, well, this one's nemesis was one called Chantilly. You might have heard of her.
Tough.
Might have even heard of her out in Minnesota.
yeah, they were talking about her out there. Yeah.
Anyway, so let's take a look at this qualifier, Jeff. Chantilly in front. Jody in the 2-hole with my top selection in here, Wicked Pace. I would say, in my opinion, Wicked Pace was the second best OSS pacing filly last year. And the best one is right up on top, who could have been the best 2-year-old pacing filly in all of North America, period, taking her out of the OSS. But Wicked Pace, what's your thoughts on her?
All right, so I'm in this race, just so everybody knows, okay?
Oh, you were in this one.
I'm in the 12th here tonight. No,
Oh,
not
right.
in this
Oh, okay,
qualifier.
yeah,
I'm
yeah.
in the 12th here tonight, so this is competition. Chantilly, a very nice horse.
She won't. You don't have to face her tonight, though.
No, I won't have
which
to face
is nice.
her. Sure, I'm just going to be a little critical. I don't know if this is the place. But
Do
anyways,
it.
I don't know. Yeah, I mean, she got towed along pretty well, so we'll see what she wants to do on her own.
Right,
That's
exactly.
all.
That's the way to look at it.
don't
That's
know.
right. Don't be scared.
Yeah.
Spit it out.
Yeah,
I've spit it out the odd time in my life. you
Yeah,
know.
yeah, it has to happen sometime.
Okay.
But again, you put me in a tough spot here. I got to try to find a way to beat her. I don't know if I can, but
You'll find it.
yeah.
They're all beatable, even Cam Fella.
Sometimes, yeah.
Okay,
yeah.
Before we get to the qualifying report, we're going to quickly go through some qualifiers there. I wanted to talk to you. Give me the name of the trotting colt that you were racing last year in Minnesota, because you had a big go with this guy. Like you were by far the best 2-year-old trotting colt in the what would they call that? Minnesota Sire Stakes.
Yep.
Okay, so what was his name?
Again, I said this. I thought you wanted this for the wrestling reference, but the Peanut Butter Falcon.
That's what it was,
Peanut
exactly.
Butter Falcon.
Yeah. No, tell me about him. How did you pick him up?
Yeah, like I said, so I was on track, and one guy who Dan Rowland, who also had special mission up here, right?
Right. So he had an entry.
No.
Oh.
No, a special mission he set up here for.
Right. Okay. I thought the guy had an
last
entry
year.
though in this, and you drove one, he drove the other.
No.
You just got this in your
No,
own.
he
Okay.
had his own farm, so he would have to come to the track to train. So
Okay.
he needed someone to ride for him.
Right.
So I just started riding, and I think he just put me on the most set 2-year-old trotter he had, so
Right.
that he didn't trust me at that point. And anyway, so I just got to continue driving him, and he put me on to qualify, and we just went from there. And Booger is his name, but he did most of it on his own. He was pretty hot too. I didn't have much control of him. I just made sure that we got down to the rail without any incident and went from there.
Seemed to me like another horse that had good movement on the end.
Great movement, yeah. Very, very nice horse. I mean, I was never out with him. He had some gait issues, especially late. A little bit right hind, and I couldn't really give him his head.
Yeah.
Right. So he still got more. And unfortunately, I won't be there to drive him again this summer, but
Right.
hopefully he comes back and he shows even more. And
Maybe they'll send him up for the trotting classic.
yeah, hopefully
There you go.
1 year, yeah.
Okay, let's take a look at a couple of replays. We had some good replays qualifiers. Replays of qualifiers. We had some nice qualifiers going today. Let's maybe take a look at a few of these ones. These in order, Luke. So we're going to. Okay, Highland Kismet in qualifier 2. Let's take a look. Can we get this one in back here, Luke, by any chance? Okay, so Highland Kismet looking good. Here we go. And, he's going to come out of this with the last quarter in 27-4 and an overall mile of 55 flat for this horse that was second in the Hambletonian last year, and hopefully looking like he's going to come up with a big 4-year-old year this year. How's he look to you, Jeff?
He looks fantastic.
He does, doesn't he?
Yeah, maybe not Bobby started, but yeah, all those seem to finish well there. And again, Mark knows how to hang them up properly. He knows how to get a trotter to trot. And he didn't move a muscle. Didn't seem like
and what I liked about him too, no trotting hobbles.
No trotting hobbles. And they can't pass him after the wire, like you said.
There you go. Exactly. Okay, so now we're going to come on to Mona Lishi. This is this gorgeous one, James driving a Blake McIntosh top 2-year-old trotting filly. In here last year, she won our big race. What was that? The Peaceful Way, I think it is, for 2-year-olds. I'm not really sure, but she ended up winning. But here she is, and
league of her own, obviously.
Yes, yeah. This is another Green Mona Lishi, and just an unbelievable campaign last year, and it looks like she's really come back good for Blake.
You got a line on that one, or no?
She went in 54-4 last quarter in 29 seconds.
Right there, that is?
Yeah, this one.
Wow.
Yeah,
Wow.
yeah.
That's
so
strong.
she's looking good as well.
Wow.
The next one we're going to look at is Chantilly. God only knows what we could be looking at here, Jeff. 55 flat last quarter and 26-3 on what I would consider to be not an A1 track.
No.
Take a look at this bad girl there. What's your thoughts on her? I think that this could potentially, there's talk now that they're going to race her in the North American Cup. Never seen a filly race the boys in the NA Cup, but boy, oh boy,
I'll be rooting for
I've
her
never
if she
seen a
does.
filly like this.
No, you almost see her there at the top of the stretch, just kind of go into a different mental space almost and kick into another gear there. I mean, you can't even compete with that. Nobody can keep up.
No, she's just an amazing filly, and looking forward to her. Now, Irvin Hanover, one of the big boys in the open ranks, and been some time off, and now they've decided to bring him on back, Irvin Hanover. So we could be looking at a horse. Maybe Dave's going to look to race him in the Canadian Pacing Derby or a few of those kinds of races, but really looks good.
Just springing
out
off
there.
the ground.
Yeah, seems like he's strong and good to go. So seemed like they're a good bunch. We got some nice horses coming back.
Out. It's that time of year.
It is
It's
that time of the year.
Sun will be out.
Well, it looks like we got 4 minutes going to be before the first race. We got just enough time that maybe we can take a quick look ahead to the weekend that we got coming up. So maybe we can get our things up here. So, excuse me. We got the Canadian sired graduates for the 4-year-old mares and the 4-year-old horse and geldings, both going for around a purse of around 80,000. We got the preferred pace coming back for a purse of 36,000, and we also got the 4-year-olds for the pace for the horses and geldings on the pace, and this one going for also a purse of right around 80,000, in between 78.5 and 81.5 are the biggest ones there. And really interesting weekend coming up, and like I say, with the Kentucky Derby also coming up as well. Now, give us a real quick play on what your thoughts are on race number 12 tonight.
Race number 12 tonight?
Yeah, give us your thoughts. What's your thoughts on her? How's she coming into this race? And do you have any special any ways that you kind of had planned that you might race her, or you just play it by ear kind of guy?
Yeah, I mean, if I'm honest, I say this a lot, but I can't really tell you what's going to happen until I get a nose on the gate. I generally like to see things and feel them, and each night could be different with each horse. Anytime you lose a top driver, they pick off, that probably means that you're not in the best spot anymore. So, I'm obviously jumping in a tougher spot than she's been in here lately. I think, she's been racing tough. I think she's in tough here. She's probably going to have to dig in to stay with some of these. But, again, she's really impressed me this winter. I'm not sure how far she'll go, but...
Now, how did Louis end up with the drive? Just because you had two in the same race?
Yeah. I used Jonathan the week before that. I think Jonathan went on holidays, so then Louis was available the next week, and he won first start with her. And I guess if it ain't broke, don't fix it. Right?
Yeah, sometimes the money's nice too.
Yeah.
Instead of the
That's
glory.
fantastic.
No doubt about that. Okay, so that was about. I guess that would pretty well sums up the evening for us tonight, there, Mr. Luke. Okay, Well, we're going to have to do plays of the night at some point, and hopefully Randy wins this race as well. It might be the only thing that he wins tonight. We really appreciate you coming by, Jeff.
Well, thanks for
And you
having
want to
me.
know something too? I'm going to tell you something. I tell this to a lot of young guys, but I love the way that you're racing out there. I wish I had your ability at my age. I really, truly do. Plays of the night. No, I'm being serious. Plays of the night. Going to start off in race number 1 with that second-time starter for Benoit this year. Had him one start, I think it was last year, but second start this year. LMC Wagon Wheel was big impressed with him from the 10 hole in his last. All in is going to be back to James and Roger Mayotte with Get the Green in race 3. Worth a look. Race 8 is going to be All-Star Twinkle for Bob McClure and Pam Goodale, I think it is. And my Waples watch, again, back to the Bergeron barn in race number 9 with HP Run Detector making his second start back. A resident handicappers, what do we got going here? Gislan also going to go Get the Green, call to repeat. I can't say as I blame you there, Gislan. Garnet going to go in race number 5. This is an interesting one. This is the 4-horse, All About Art. Always take a second look at Garnet's there, because I'll tell you, he does come up with some interesting. This one coming in from Flamborough, only showed one start at a qualifier here on our circuit. Been racing a lot at Flamborough, and now coming here, and Garnet going to try to put this guy right up on top. Interesting, 15-1 morning spot play. And Johnny Rawlis, I didn't catch that last one, Luke. Control Rocks in race number 7, and another guy that if he says, maybe take an extra look at a horse, you better do it. Johnny Rawlis, very, very sharp kind of a guy. Jeff Hunt, again, I'm going to say good luck tonight. Thank you very much for coming in and saying hi. And hopefully
Thanks
we're
for
going to
having me.
get to see, maybe talk to you again
Yeah,
later
absolutely.
tonight.
I'd love to come
A little bit
back.
later on tonight and see how things are going for you.
Do we have a couple seconds? Can I
Sure.
say something?
Fire
We talked about this before, but coming on, I wanted to acknowledge the passing of Dr. Dave Goodrow, who I think, at least for our barn, my family, he was a great man. I think it's a loss for the industry, and just wanted to raise a figurative toast to him before we go. Is that the clock there?
We're okay.
Is that,
We're
we
good.
done?
We're good.
No,
Yeah.
I want to leave everybody with one of these.
Now, where did you get that? Hey, one thing we can do quickly before we run the clock? Can you show us one more time, producer Luke, that beautiful picture of Jeff in his baseball uniform?
show us, Randy.
Because I like that one. I mean, I can't believe I'm sitting beside somebody that got drafted by the Dodgers,
right.
man.
And then-
I don't believe. I
And
can't
then finish the
believe
show
it.
with Randy again.
All right. Well, anyway, let's. Okay, here we go. Luke's looking forward, and we're going to bring this up. Look at that. Now
Oh, these
that's
are
an
just
athlete
Facebook
there, man. Now
pictures.
that
These
is
are
an
just
athlete
Facebook
right there, my
pictures.
friend. Unbelievable. Yeah, let's go another one. And you had your own trading card.
Yeah. I mean,
Wow,
I
look
don't-
at that.
Just the teammate.
The
I
Ogden
believe.
Raptors. Beautiful.
Yeah. It was a fun time.
I'll bet it was.
It was a fun time.
I'll bet it was. I'm jealous.
Well, I'm jealous of what you achieved in this sport.
There you go. Well, there you go. Now we can pat each other on the
Exactly,
back.
exactly,
Okay.
yeah.
Stick with us. Next voice that you'll hear is probably going to be either mine or Chad, but we'll be back here. We'll be getting ready to race for you. So race 1 coming up real soon, and that is going to be the guaranteed $75,000 guaranteed opening of our Pick 5.